Welcome to Perfect Guardian, and I'll tell you about the number 9 numerology. Ordinarily, I'll try to keep the math to a minimum when I discuss an aspect of numerology. In the case of number 9, however, the math highlights a philosophical observation that is unique, interesting, and very revealing. So please bear with me. Please, because from purely mathematical perspective, the 9 stands apart. When you multiply any number by 9, then adding the results, digits and adduce them to a single digit, it always becomes a 9. You just try it. Any number. Now, from numerological perspective, it's actually the exact opposite of what happens when you use the 9 to multiply. Because when adding it, increasing the amount by 9, it does not change anything to its initial single digit value. When multiplying, the 9 takes over. When adding, the 9 does nothing. For a math junkie like myself, with a philosophical streak to match, this is pure beauty. So, now I'll come to the main point. The last of the cardinal number, the 9, is the most worldly and sophisticated of all numbers. The 9 has some similarities with the 6. However, whereas the 6 is a symbol of motherly love, giving its love and care to friends, family and the immediate community, the 9 offers it to the world at large. The 9, more than any other number, has global consequences. Looking at the shape of the symbol is, as always, quite telling. The 9 is like the 6 upside down, a symbol of offering sympathy and compassion to everyone, a reservoir of giving with a generous downward spout. The 9 lives in the world and understands the connections between all of mankind. It is a humanitarian and sees no real difference between its neighbor next door and the person living in a different culture and environment on the other side of the world. The 9 is the least judgmental of all numbers, the most tolerant and most conscious. I'll tell you something more about 9. Like, specifically, they are masculine or feminine. They are not so. The 9 seems more feminine in large part because she is so loving and empathetic. She walks like a queen, tall, yet feels closely connected with the rest of the mankind. At the same time, she is hard to reach, seems aloof, and tends to float above the small-minded issues that can be so upsetting to others. You either love her or not, but you can't deny her the respect she demands. She is impeccable, taste, is talented and creative, and can be quite eloquent when she expresses herself. The 9 may be called the Mother Theresa number, because when she sees injustice or suffering, she will not hesitate to devote herself to rectifying it. More importantly, she will not dedicate any energy towards receiving credits for her actions. The purity of math that is manifested when she adds to the lives of others is mirrored in the way she goes about doing good. She will not force upon herself on any other, but when circumstances require, she can be a powerful force, strong enough to take over and bend others to her. Yet she is not a leader, in the way both the number 1 and number 8 are leaders. Her leadership qualities are in the higher realms of philosophy and justice. She changes your mind. The 9 is often prosperous, but this is one of those contradictions that actually make sense and illustrates the true nature of the 9 clearly. Where the 8 becomes financially successful by focusing on the potential reward from certain undertakings, the 9 earns a beneficial rewards by completely and utterly ignoring the monetary potential of an individual, the exact opposite of the 8. As for matter of hearts, the 9 is not particularly romantic. She is an impossible lover, not because he is demanding, which she is also, but because you never know to what extent you have managed to reach her. She hides her heart, and even after knowing her for many years, the connection still seems a bit distant. She is a loyal friend, but will not allow herself to become vulnerable. The most telling attribute of the 9 is always subtle and hard to pinpoint sense that there is more to her than meets the eye. A correct observation. She has depth and institution and is at all times aware of her surroundings, like a person with overdeveloped peripheral vision. As with any number, the 9 has a dark side. She can be condescending, arrogant, cold and apathetic towards the suffering of others. When the 9 shows a dark side, it is egoistic, cruel, immoral, completely untouchable, and unfortunately, it is easy for a 9 to fall into the dark side. Like when she perceives herself to have been the victim of an injustice, then she can be vindictive, unforgiving, and malicious. When the 9 appears as a cycle, it often denotes a finality, the completion of the era. The 9 as a cycle is frequently seen as an indicator of death. This is simplistic and wrong. What one or more 9 cycles does suggest is that you are in the final stages of a period of endeavor, that you need to empty your bucket and prepare for the new, and that there are opportunities to make a difference. So thank you. Please subscribe to my channel Perfect Guardian and give your comment.